with great pleasure, I'd like to introduce our next speakers. David Post, who's the president of EASE, the European Association of Storage. Welcome, David. And also to Brittany Elzareh, who's the policy manager for EASE, and they've graciously joined us to give us an important perspective, the European perspective of storage, which is extremely important when we talk about the storage in Italy. So welcome to you both, and thank you for joining us, and I'll leave the floor to you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel, and thank you in general. It's for us an honor to be able to present a little bit the European perspective on this interesting webinar with a special focus on Italy. I will give a quick overview of what EASE is trying to do in the European landscape for storage. And then Brittany will give us an update on the key trends that we see at a European level, both now and in the next years. And then we'll do a quick focus also on the Italian market to further set the scene. If you could move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So a little bit of marketing. What does EASE do? We are the European Association for Storage of Energy. So we try to lead on a member-supported basis, let's say, the rollout of storage, or the support of the rollout of storage, with an active presence across the energy storage value chain. EASE is technology agnostic, so we don't. I've seen the statistic before as to which technologies are, let's say, most expected to be pushed through in the next couple of months or a year. Sorry, we are technology agnostic. We support the deployment of energy storage, and really what we pursue is to help our members in this cost-effective transition to a resilient, carbon-neutral, and secure energy system. We are firm believers altogether that storage is a fundamental role in that pursuit, and that's a little bit what our organization does. A couple of years ago, we started small, but we've been growing actually very fast. We have now more than 50 members, basically spanning from large utilities, technology suppliers, research institutes, distribution system operators, and also TSOs. We want to have, let's say, we want to represent the voice of all these, let's say, players in the market. So our goal is to raise awareness, share information, be basically a sounding board, and help where possible also in the design of market rules that then facilitate the rollout of storage. On the next slide, you can see a brief overview of our members. I mean, as you can see, we have the major key players we're very lucky to have them among our members. We try to be very active in the interaction with them, and as an association, to basically represent as best as we can the interests. Then, Brittany, I would like to ask you if you could give us a view on the latest trends of the industry and how we see this moving forward.
All right, thank you, David, and thank you also to the organizers for inviting EASE to speak. I'm sorry I can't present in Italian, but I will do my best. We already saw some slides about the technology developments, and we also wanted to share a bit from our perspective where we see the market going. In the past years, we did see a very significant increase in the storage deployments at EU level. This graph shows the annual storage market for electrical, electrochemical, and mechanical storage, but excluding pumped hydro storage. And you can see, especially in 2017 and 2018, there was really a big increase in the annual deployments, and we're expecting to see this positive trend going forward. Interesting to note that at EU level, still about 90% of the storage capacity is pumped hydro storage, so it plays a very important role in the energy storage sector and in the energy mix more broadly, and will continue to do so. But now we're seeing also rapid increase in the amount of electrochemical storage, mainly batteries, being deployed. In our analysis that we did together with Delta EE, we see the residential and front of meter market kind of neck on neck in terms of annual deployment. So our graph is a little bit different of what Alessio just showed. So it's really interesting to see how that develops with a lot of interest in behind the meter storage in some markets, than other markets having much more focus on front of meter storage. And in terms of the grid scale storage, we see that the UK, Ireland, and Germany are really the fastest growing markets in terms of storage. But we see now with the implementation of the Clean Energy Package and other EU policies at national level that many markets around the EU are opening up for the first time to storage. If you could go to the next slide, please. All right, I wanted to also to kind of set the scene a little bit in terms of where we are today at EU level for energy storage policy. So just a few years ago, there was very little understanding among EU policymakers of the importance of energy storage, and we've seen a huge shift in the past few years, and this is really exemplified in the Clean Energy Package. The third energy package, which was finalized in 2009, did not mention energy storage at all. Whereas the Clean Energy Package really mentions energy storage throughout and puts forward specific regulations for energy storage. So it sets kind of the minimum foundation for energy storage to be able to be deployed on the market as a technology neutral definition of storage. So it's covering all energy storage technologies, including power to gas and power to heat. It allows storage to access all different markets and system services. It calls on TSOs and DSOs to consider storage and network planning. And it also empowers commercial, industrial, but also residential consumers to own and operate behind the meter storage. So it's really quite a comprehensive framework addressing a lot of the barriers that we had previously identified. We see now, as I said, more and more policymakers, at least in terms of their high-level messaging, recognizing the role and importance of storage. And they are making more and more funding available to invest in storage research, but also demonstration and deployment projects. So that includes now also Next Generation EU and the Just Transition Fund, which I will touch on a bit later. However, while things are going very well in terms of the high level messaging and the general direction at the EU level, we do see a couple of key challenges that we have to focus on as an industry. The first being that the Clean Energy Package implementation into the national EU law is lagging in some member states. So that's a big issue that can potentially slow down the storage deployment. We see that energy storage is addressed in many different EU policies, but there's no real overarching strategy, and we would like to see better cooperation and collaboration across different policy areas and different committees and so on, to have really a harmonized energy storage strategy. Without this, I think it'll be difficult to really have the storage levels that we need for the 2030 and 2050 targets. And part of this that we've seen at EU level, there needs to be a better modeling and data collection. So we can really track where are we today in terms of storage deployments, where do we need to go to reach the 2030 and 2050 targets, and how can we really consider all different energy storage technologies and track progress towards our goals. And the final point is that we see, despite the Clean Energy Package provisions for storage, there's still an issue with adequate pricing signals for storage, and there are some issues with ensuring long-term investor certainty for storage. So that's a particular point where we would like to see the EU become more active. On the next slide, we will go into a couple of the policy recommendations. So David has led in his new nomination as East President. He has helped us to define some of the key priorities that we will be pursuing in the coming years. I won't go over all of them due to time issues, but I will highlight a few. The first being that we would like to really emphasize technology neutrality in EU policymaking, so not picking winners or losers, but really creating a regulatory framework that allows all current and future energy storage technologies to be able to compete. And this means also kind of mainstreaming energy storage across all of the different EU files, as I said before. Accelerating clean energy package implementation is really a priority for us. As long as those provisions are not implemented across the EU in the spirit of the law, we will see some issues with storage coming onto the market. We would like to see really the market-based tendering and fair remuneration for energy storage services. This is really important for storage to have a robust business case. This means allowing revenue stacking, so combining different storage services and also having long-term revenue streams. And we want EU policy to recognize the specific attributes of energy storage, meaning energy storage should not be considered a generation and/or a consumption asset based on how it is functioning, but really having its unique attributes specifically addressed in regulations and policy, such as grid fees and charges, but also the network codes. Next slide, Alessio, please. Funding for energy storage is still a really important point because we see a lot of potential for cost and performance improvements and also improvements in sustainability of storage technologies. So right now with the COVID-19 recovery plan funding being determined by the member states, we see it really important that storage is considered. Also in the Just Transition Fund process, storage can play a role. Energy storage and mobility is a big topic as well. We see a lot of links between stationary storage and the mobility sector. Sorry, I see my audio connection was dropped for a second. Long duration storage is a big topic and sector integration that we see could receive more attention to make sure those technologies will really be there to enable the 2050 targets. Considering all different storage technologies, including pumped hydro storage in the sustainable finance, this is a really big topic this year as we define the taxonomy at EU level. Permitting for energy storage projects is a topic that still can slow down storage deployment and where we would like to become more active. And finally, the common standards and approaches for safety and also sustainability of storage systems. So these are the 10 priorities that we see. Of course, there are many different issues to address, but we see things moving in a positive direction. So David, we're looking forward to working with you to advocate for all these different points at EU level with the support of the EASE members. David, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you. Allora, parliamoci un po' anche sul mappa italiano, perché come oggi stiamo parlando soprattutto del tema in Italia, di come lo stoccage può essere un facilitatore della trasformazione energetica in Italia, ho preso un po' la libertà di preparare uno slide che noi qua, come io spero nel mio lavoro in Enel usiamo spesso, che è un po' riflettere come stiamo vedendo, diciamo, lo sviluppo dello storage in Italia. Onestamente devo dire che in Italia è uno dei mercati in Europa che è abbastanza avanzato per quanto riguarda lo sviluppo delle batterie. Già nell'anno 2017 ci siamo visti parecchie volte con ARERA e con le diverse stakeholders, e ARERA ha fatto questa risoluzione prima attraverso diversi programmi pilota che sia per la UVAM o per la UPI nel 2018 diciamo hanno dato l'apertura allo sviluppo delle prime progetti di storage, ovvero in questo caso soprattutto per le batterie. Poi nell'anno 2019 anche Terna, facendo l'asta capacità, hanno anche diciamo dato la possibilità per le prime progetti di storage di partecipare. Infatti ci sono stati assegnati circa 130 megawatt con batterie di 4 ore, quindi già diciamo è un livello di scalo che chiaramente riflette l'importanza dello storage in Italia. E poi ovviamente abbiamo avuto quest'anno, stiamo già nel 2021, alla fine l'anno scorso abbiamo avuto la Fast Reserve che è gestita da Terna, che è assolutamente stato un successo, dove sostanzialmente ci sono stati assegnati circa 250 megawatt dei progetti che verranno a fornire un servizio di fast reserve, che è un servizio che è abbastanza simile a quello che abbiamo visto negli UK nell'anno 2016. Quindi lì ci sono stati assegnati 250 megawatt, come dicevo, però soprattutto sottolineare il grande interesse per quest'asta. C'erano 53 partecipanti qualificati che hanno presentato offerte per quasi 1,3 gigawatt, cioè 5 volte in più da quello che è stato assegnati, e anche tra le diverse zone d'Italia, ovvero centro-nord, centro-sud e anche la Sardegna. Quindi chiaramente tra Terna, Arera, Mise, le diverse stakeholder, stiamo vedendo che c'è un supporto molto importante e sono veramente contento di vedere il supporto positivo e il compromesso con lo rollout o il deployment dei progetti dello storage, e speriamo che questo continua così. Quindi veramente per noi Italia è uno dei principali mercati che è più avanzato in Europa, e magari anche posso dire uno degli esempi come alle grandi investitori ci piacerebbero vedere, diciamo, le opportunità di investire. Mi fermo qua. Volevo dare un po' questo pensiero perché penso che sia spero che sia una introduzione utile a quello che verrà discusso adesso nei diversi panel. Grazie.